From the G7 summit since the annexation of Crimea last year, but it's certainly not a case of out of sight, out of mind.
World leaders, including David Cameron, are expected to use the summit to maintain diplomatic pressure on Russia because of the conflict in eastern Ukraine.
He'll also be seeking continued commitment to action against IS in Iraq and Syria. Evan Lawrence is a counter-terrorism and security expert. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. This probably be helpful to recap on where things are with IS at the moment for people.
Well, I think we're a bit at a stalemate with them. We've gotten to the point where the bombing raids are doing what they can, but still aren't being as effective as they need to be. And ISIS is starting to get savvy to how to deal with moving the resources and things around so they aren't getting caught up in the bombing raids as much as they had. We've seen a couple commando and special forces raids going into ISIS-held areas to either recover people or to take back certain assets, but nothing more than that on the ground. So we're really kind of at a stalemate with the international community as to what we do with ISIS now, whether we kind of let them be or whether we actually go in a full-scale war and take back the territory.
Because the alternative to that, of course, is the Iraqi army, which really isn't up to it. And then you're talking about the Shia militias and the involvement of Iran, which won't suit the G7 leaders, will it?
No, unfortunately, with the Shia militias, they're quite effective, but they have a very long history in the region and not a very a good history either. So there's a lot of animosity between the Shia and the Sunnis in the region, and so having Sunni militias come in can be quite problematic. And having the backing of Iran, like you said, is very, very problematic for the G7.
I mean, how much of a priority do you think this will be at this G7 summit? Because we know there are an awful lot of things on the agenda there.
I don't think it's going to be a huge priority. I think you're going to see some talks and involving some of the leaders in Africa as well, with Boko Haram and things like that. But certainly ISIS will be on the agenda, and they will be trying to figure out what to do at this point.
Because the focus will also be not just on Syria and Iraq, but also on Libya.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, there's a really unstable situation in Libya at the moment. This vacuum is creating opportunities for. I mean, are they Islamic State groups these, or are they?
They didn't start out as Islamic State, but they're now loyal to, if you will, Islamic State. And what that actually means, we're still trying to figure out.
So they're taking advantage of the cachet of the group. Really.
Yeah, the media buzz about ISIS and things like that is obviously a media generator. And so if they can attach their name to it, then of course it gives them more attention and gets their name out there more.
And you mentioned perhaps it won't be the biggest priority at this summit, but it's the first time, isn't it, that David Cameron and President Obama are going to meet since David Cameron was re-elected as Prime Minister. So I guess symbolically they may want to appear to be taking some sort of decisive action on this. I mean, it's a huge concern, isn't it?
Yeah, they'll certainly want to be seen to be doing something about it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that can be done at this point.
They can do something about recruitment, though, can't they?
Yeah, I think what you're going to start seeing is a lot more focus on here in the UK and Europe and the recruitment and retention of these fighters, and what to do about them when they return, if they return, things like that. Dealing with kind of the root causes that make someone want to radicalize, that make someone want to go out and fight for ISIS. So I think you're going to see a focus on those in the coming weeks as well.
Okay. Evan Lawrence, thanks very much for coming in and talking to us about it this morning.